Hey there, it's Dr. Glenn, your WordPress security fanatic, coming to you all the way from Johnstown, Pennsylvania, in the beautiful United States. So, where are you? Leave a note in the comments. What I want to talk about today is what happens when your WordPress crashes and how little help there seems to be for people unless you're super technical and you just know how to get back in. A lot of times people reach out to me, they call me on YouTube or wherever, and they say, Dr. Glenn, my WordPress is infected. I need help. But then when I go look, it's not infected. Sometimes it's just crashed. And this can happen because a plugin updates and it causes a conflict, or the WordPress just runs out of memory, or the database has a small issue or something. And the real issue is a lot of the tools that sort of help you fix these problems are plugins, helpful plugins. But how do you get a plugin to work to fix a problem if you can't get into your WordPress? It's this sort of vicious circle. You can't get in, so you can't adjust the settings because you can't get in to begin with. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I have a new tool available to fix WordPress crashes. And the cool thing about it is that it exists outside of the WordPress installation. So I'll show you how it works. But the other cool thing is it's free. So I'm just giving this away because I love everybody. I care. I want you to be happy and successful. If you're locked out of your WordPress because it's crashed, you can use this tool many times to get back in. So let's get into this video right now. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I see. And here we are at my website, fixmyhackedwebsite.com. Now, if you really do think your website's hacked, come here and hire me and I'll come and fix it for you personally. I don't outsource anything. I'll personally go and fix it, and then I'll make you a video like this that told you what was wrong. But here we are, the Dr. Glenn Fix Crashes. So yeah, you'll click on this link here. Now, this is for people who are uh, locked out of their website because they have the critical error or whatever. So you click on there and it takes you to this page and it tells you all about stuff. And, there's a little disclaimer down here. It's free. I don't offer any warranty on this stuff, but this it does work for many people, and it's solved a lot of problems for people who've reached out to me. I just give them this plugin, if you want to call it that. It's not really a plugin, and it's just a program, and it just runs. And so you read all this stuff, go and download it, and it will give you a zip file. Inside the zip file, there's a little PHP file that you upload into your account. So what you do is you go into your WordPress area. Here I'm using cPanel, but you can do it on any hosting environment. You can ask your host to do this for you if you want. And you just upload the PHP file that you downloaded. It's just called Dr. Glenn repair.php. And this exists, like I said, it's in you put it in the main area of your public HTML directory, or where your WordPress is installed. You just stick it right in there, and this works outside of the WordPress. So once you're in there, it takes you go with your browser and you pull up. So it'll be yourdomain.com/ the drglenn-repair.php, and it'll take you to this main page. Now, the very first thing you're going to see when you load this program is the IP address. Now, this should be the IP address that you're actually on at the moment. So I'm on a VPN at the moment, hooked up through Finland, if you believe it or not. But and it gives me the IP address I'm currently using. So here's the deal. This is a very powerful program, and it can cause problems if it's publicly available. And so I'm assuming you personally uploaded the program, and the first person that's going to visit the program that was uploaded is you. And so what it does is it locks everybody else out. The only person who can access the program after you push the whitelist button is you, and everybody else is locked out. And this is so nobody comes behind you and abuses the program. And by the way, once you get yourself back into your WordPress, go ahead and delete the file off of your server. So let's get back into this. I'm going to push the whitelist button. Now my IP address will be whitelisted, and this is the program itself. Now, assuming that the front page of your website, there are different reasons why your website might be crashed, but if you're getting that first little blurb that says, there's a critical error on this website, the first thing that you want to do is to try disabling the plugins. And so don't just click all these buttons. All right, what you're going to do is open your browser in a different tab or a different browser window, or just using a different browser. You're going to go to your website and have it loaded. And then you're going to choose each one of these fixes or these settings, and then go check and see if you can get back in. So for example, if you click this button that says disable all the plugins on the website, so you click that, it says all the plugins have been disabled. Now, go back to your website where, and try to refresh the page and see if you can get back in. See if your website came back up. And if it did, then the issue was one of the plugins. You go ahead and go log in and then reactivate the plugins one at a time until you figure out which one the issue is. Troubleshoot it and fix it. But I would start with the plugins by disabling them. And that doesn't fix the issue for you and get you back in and bring your website back up. Then we can go on to another section here, another tool. Now remember, once you disable all the plugins, your WordPress might come back up, but it might look a little wonky, right? Because maybe you were using an automatic website builder or something, and now all the pages look weird. That's because you have to go back in and to the plugins area and start reactivating the plugins, and then everything should start looking normal again. Another reason that plugins can or the website could crash is if somebody changed the permissions in your file. Now, there are some helpful permissions that WordPress provides as defaults, and that's 644 for files and 755 for directories, and you don't have to worry about what all that means. Basically, every file in your hosting environment has sort of a permission, who's allowed to use it. So for example, you have a file and maybe the owner of the file is allowed to read and write that to that file. So you can make changes to your pages and stuff. But the public, somebody that's coming to visit your website, maybe they can't write to your file. That wouldn't make sense for a visitor. They can just read. And so different people have different permissions according to the roles as they come into your website. And so that's the important thing to remember. Every hosting environment's different, but almost everybody uses these default permissions. If you're not sure that you're in an Apache environment using default permissions, I wouldn't push this button until I ask my host if 755 for directories and 644 for files is the proper setting. And if it is, then push the button and it will reset all of the permissions in your particular. So you click the reset file permissions, you get a little, it happens really fast, and it just resets them to the defaults, and it gives you a helpful little note that tells you that. So just like the other situation where you disabled all the plugins, and now if your website still crashed, you'll go ahead and change the directory permissions and file permissions by pushing this button, and then give it a minute and then go try and get back in. And that means go refresh the page by clicking like Alt F5 on your keyboard or whatever when you have your website open in another browser window, and see if if you can get back in now. If your website still crashed, then I won't be redundant and keep saying that, but you understand each time that you do something. So now maybe it's the database. Maybe the database got corrupted and it's just causing a crash in the database system. So you can try repairing the database tables. Now, let's just be clear about this. Before you ever start anything like this, it's assumed that you made a backup, right? So definitely before you push database buttons, you want to make sure you have a backup of your website, so you can ask your host to back it up or whatever. But let's just assume that you're using common sense here. So you're going to click the repair database button, and it'll repair all the tables in the database, and hopefully then you can go check and you can get back in. But if you cannot, Maybe the issue is the other database issues like down here. So you can try optimizing the database. Maybe your database is just really bloated and problems, or there's transient issues, or you just have so many revisions, like there's a loop that went out of control on a badly coded plugin and everything's bloated. You can try these other database tools. And if that doesn't work, one of the last things that I would say to do here in order is to reset the htaccess and update your permalinks. Now, htaccess is a weird animal. It's this Apache program or a directive, right? It's like a text file, and it gives directives to the web server with rules to follow. And a lot of times hackers use malware and stuff, use the htaccess to redirect websites and the like. And occasionally there'll just be a little weird glitch, like a little hiccup in there that just causes problems. And so wiping out the htaccess file can oftentimes get you back in your website if your website is crashed. However, maybe there's something special in there that you really want to hold on to. But you're in a special situation. Your website's crashed, your reputation is tanking. You don't want people coming to your website and you missing all the opportunities. And so, look, this is where we're at. So if you've decided I'm willing to roll the dice on this, then just push the button. And what it'll do is it wipes out all of the text that's in your htaccess file. It puts the default htaccess file that WordPress recommends, and then it updates the permalinks as though you had gone to the permalink button in your WordPress and pressed it. Doesn't necessarily change your permalinks to some other structure because that's bad for SEO, but it refreshes it. Without that refresh, your pages don't work anymore. So by doing that, then assuming the pages work. Now, this is remarkably effective for many issues. So a lot of times this will bring your website back if you have managed to get blocked, or it's crashed, you have a critical error. So what do you do after this though? Once you get back, after you wipe out the htaccess file, go to your dashboard, click the permalink save button again. Don't change the permalink to something new. So that's in the dashboard on the left-hand side. Go down to general settings and hover, and then you'll see permalinks. You select the permalinks tab, and then just click the save button. You just do that as a redundancy because you want to make sure that that worked. It's very important. The other thing that you're going to want to do is deactivate and reactivate your caching plugin, whatever caching plugin that you're using, and then log out and try to log back in and make sure you retain access to get in. Maybe the caching plugin is the problem, who knows? But something to think about. And then you might want to rewrite your security rules. So if you hired me in the past and I put a bunch of hardening codes in your htaccess file and now they're all gone, you will probably want to beef up security in your website. You can go back to fixmyhackedwebsite.com and pick up the Harden It plugin and install that plugin into your WordPress and use it to increase your security. Now, nothing's really as good as me personally going and testing everything, and there's a lot of hardening codes that I add to websites that I service that don't exist in the Harden It plugin, and that's just because not every server environment's exactly the same. There's really no plugin can do all of that for you. It's best to have a security pro customize it for your particular environment. And but there's a lot of them that you can automatically apply, and my Hardnet plugin is really good for that. So let's get back into this real quick and just sort of wrap this up. Once you've gone through all of these, the last thing that you might want to do is update the PHP memory limit. Now remember, this is outside of the WordPress install. When you press this button, it updates the PHP for this limit, and it tells you what the new limit is. So when you, in your hosting environment, in the hosting account itself, sometimes like in your control panel or whatever, there's a PHP tool, and people will go to that tool, like your developer or maybe you, and you can adjust the memory, the available memory for PHP that your hosting account provides. And you should know that the WordPress itself, though, is locked to 40. So you can raise that limit to 512 if you want, but WordPress will never ask for more than 40. It's locked to 40 by default. So the only way to raise the PHP limit in WordPress is to use a plugin to do that, or to go in and manually code everything. And so you can't use a plugin to do it if you're locked out. So what my script does is it asks the hosting account what's the maximum PHP value, and then it changes the maximum PHP value in your WordPress account to match. So after you do this, you can get back into your WordPress if it's a memory issue. Oftentimes it'll free things up so you can get back in, and then you can choose whether you want to keep the current setting, which is usually pretty generous, or you can throttle it back down. I personally just leave it. I go ahead and allow the WordPress to have access to as much memory as it wants, but it's a personal choice between you and your developer, or maybe you are the developer. So either of those things is going to be a choice that you have to make. So there we go. Each one of these, one by one, you should be able to get back into your WordPress now. And if you cannot, then you might want to reach out to me, because it sounds like it might be a bigger problem. So, if it is the case that you reach out or you go through this and you still can't get into your WordPress, you might need more help. So come over here and click on the Contact Dr. Glenn. You may have to hire me to fix it. But in generally speaking, a lot of times it's not an infection, it's just a problem in the WordPress that can be overcome, and then you can go on with your life. And you don't have to wait for your developer to show up that you haven't talked to in a week. You don't have to pay money to somebody to try to troubleshoot this issue, or hope that your host figures it out. Using this small little program on your system, you can overcome a lot of the crashes. And once you do get back into your WordPress, go back to your file manager, whatever that might be, and delete the repair program. Just get rid of it. There's no reason for it to be in your account when you're back into the website. So just use it as you need it. Okay, thank you all for checking in. If you are hacked and you need help, reach out. I'm here to help you. I personally do every job myself. I don't outsource anything. I'll make you a video like this when I'm done to tell you what the problems were with your website. You can go get that on fixmyhackedwebsite.com. And I'll have a new video pretty soon that talks a little bit more about hardening codes and how you can improve your website. So watch for that. Thank you. Bye-bye.